On today's adventure, we're going to be hiking the 3 highest peaks in Ireland. While working in Ireland, I took the opportunity to solo hike Carrauntoohil because I love hiking and exploring mountains wherever I go. This vlog is for those interested in one of the Emerald Isles' most stunning hikes. I'm Wyatt Bang with Bang Up Media. It's a lovely sunny morning at the Hadra Road car park at the base of Carrauntoohil. To give you some context, this hike is in beautiful County Kerry in Ireland's southwest. So I got my gear together, now I'm ready to go. Expect the climb today will be about 7 3/4 miles and over 4,000 feet of elevation gain. So after crossing this stile, continue on to this concrete road here. About 3/4 mile in, it was a fairly good grade. It's sort of leveled out a bit now, but got me sweating pretty good. Seen a number of sheep around, which is pretty typical of any Irish hike. And it's starting to open up a bit behind me. An estimated 238,000 people will climb Carrauntoohil in a year, but I encountered very few people on this stretch. Just over a mile in, we come to this little crossing over a rushing creek. And out there, you get a view of the lake. After about 1.3 miles of hiking, I reached the base lake. The sky continued to fluctuate between moody clouds and balmy sunshine. Once you reach the base lake, you must decide whether to turn left or right at the junction of the loop trail to continue around the horseshoe-shaped ridge. Most hiking sources, including all trails, recommend going clockwise because it is safer to climb up the steeper elevation on the left side first, rather than descending at the end. However, I continued to the right in a counterclockwise approach, so the mileage figures I give will not line up with the all trails route. Okay, out of the worst of the fog. Unfortunately, I did manage to soak both feet. Leaving the boggy section by Loch Ader behind as I take on the next major part of the climb. Climb has gotten fairly steep here. Getting pretty winded, so stopping to take a drink and take in the view of the lakes. I'm approaching the summit here of West Caher, the first significant peak at 3,200 feet. Has another part that's just a bit higher, but we've gained about 2,600 feet. Visibility has went to very little. Yes, let's go. So this is Caher top. West Peak was just back there. We were there less than 10 minutes ago. But feels good to get number 3 in Ireland done, 3rd tallest peak, a little over 3,200. And still got 2 more big ones to go get. I did have to step aside here just to admire that down there. It's got a nice drop. While I was enjoying the hike, I still hoped the clouds would clear off by the time I reached Carrauntoohil so I could enjoy lunch with a great view and capture the magnificent landscape from the air. Dropping some elevation here before we do the final ascent to Carrauntoohil. As we enjoy a bit of drone footage, I'd like to fill you in on a few difficulties to be aware of when hiking in Ireland. One is that there will generally be some boggy ground which can soak footwear. I encountered this at the base of the lake. Another is that the trails are sometimes not well marked. However, the Carrauntoohil and Coomloughra Horseshoe Loop is fairly obvious. A third potential difficulty is that it is common for clouds to create low visibility on the peaks. However, this can also create a nice moody effect depending on your taste, or even a rainbow. Closing in on Carrauntoohil, hope to take lunch up there. Maybe it'll clear off while I sit there. All Trails is telling me I've went about 4 miles, 3,200 feet of elevation gain thus far. There it is. Man, I'm pumped. I was disappointed that the top was congested with people. However, this route avoided much of the crowd that came up a more direct way. The sun is peeking in and out, but I found a spot just down from the cross and love the view for lunch. Peanuts, Cabanassi beef sticks, and Snicker bars were the fuel for the next stage of the journey. Just got done eating lunch up on the peak. There behind me is the 2 peaks of Caher. Came down that ridge. Figure 8 lake below. way out in the distance is the ocean when you have good visibility. Two more peaks over 3,000 foot left this direction yet. The second one being the second tallest in Ireland. Carrauntoohil looms above the next section, at tackle to the left. Coming up next is the famous Beenkeragh Ridge, which includes a lot of exposure or drop on both sides. So I'm really looking forward to this section. Let's do this. To get onto the exposed section of the ridge, there's a steep uphill portion that requires using your hands to maintain balance. I enjoyed this challenge before breaking out on top of this stunning ridge walk. This hike is located in the Magillicuddy's Reeks, a mountain range in Killarney National Park. The name is derived from the Gaelic tongue, in which it meant the black stacks of Magillicuddy. The Magillicuddy of the Reeks originally referred to an Irish politician from this area in the early 1900s. Over 200 years prior to this, Magillicuddy was a surname of powerful chieftains near here. All right, well, I finished up the Beenkeragh Ridge. Definitely fun. I would say if you're used to a bit of scrambling, class 1 scramble, then yeah, it's not too bad. Definitely have to use your hands in some spots. I would say probably not quite as much exposure as I was expecting, but obviously there still is a risk if you do fall. Would be painful. Hitting some of the final grade coming up to Beenkeragh, and I really like that little lake down there. Everything just drains into it, and then I think it flows down further into that big one. Just coming up to the approach to Beenkeragh, if you're going backward like I am, you have a pretty good rock scramble there using your hands and stuff. Not really any drops on either side. Here is the cairn. Beenkeragh, 3,314 feet. Super pumped to have summited the top 3 in Ireland. It's been a great day, a lot of sun, even with the bad visibility some of the time. And yeah, totally worthwhile. Standing on the cairn at Beenkeragh, you have the Beenkeragh Ridge. I just did there. Pretty sweet exposure. Up there, the highest point in Ireland with the cross on it, Carrauntoohil. Take that ridge back to the first 2 peaks I summited there. Setting out from Beenkeragh, the last summit of the day. At this stage I have 5 miles and almost 3,600 feet elevation gain in this direction. So still feeling good, but now taking the descent down to the bottom of the lake where I'll meet the trail I came in on and return same direction. Now the cairn here, I was a bit wrong in that there is still some elevation gain, a bit of up and down as you follow the ridge. And so we had peaked out at a little over 3,400 feet on Carrauntoohil, and now I've picked up almost to 2,800, but still a general progression down, following the top of the ridge. I was eager to reach the base lake since I had been sweating a bit and conserving water. After leaving Carrauntoohil, I was blessed with balmy sunshine for the rest of the hike. Yeah. Back down to the base lake where the trail splits. Yeah, good idea to fill up here because this is the last water source. Up on the ridges, there are none. Now that I'm back to the path where it intersects, probably looking at just under a 1.5 mile walk back. Just a few notes as we wrap this hike up. As far as clothing goes, if you get lucky and have a sunny summer day like I did here in August, then a jacket and a rain coat would suffice. Depending if it was a particularly cloudy, windy day, even another layer would potentially be nice. But there was very little wind, to the extent that there were flies up on top of the mountain, which is highly unusual. I was very blessed with the weather. It's unusual, even with the lack of visibility some earlier. Now it's completely cleared off. As far as direction, if you look online, most people would say go clockwise, and I would tend to agree with that just because of the number of rocks on the, if you start on the left going up, it'll be easier to ascend that way than coming down. I did okay going counterclockwise today because it was dry, had good grip on the rocks, but that could be a lot more treacherous on a rainy day. So for that reason, I would recommend going clockwise. I haven't tried the traditional Devil's Ladder route yet that a lot of people go. I would highly recommend the Carrauntoohil and Coomloughra Horseshoe Loop to conquer the 3 tallest peaks and enjoy stunning views. And we have arrived back to the car park. Feels really good to get that done. Still feel pretty good as far as energy goes. But the final breakdown for me was 8.59 miles, 3,899 feet gained. I would say those numbers are probably a little higher than some people would be. I probably walked a little extra, but it was a good time. Be sure to follow along for the next video I plan to share from Ireland's beautiful coast.